to A Traveling Knitter, the podcast. My name is Steph and I'm your host, and I am podcasting to you from Dayton, Ohio. This is my messy bedroom. I felt like doing it here because my bedroom is probably where I get the most light when it is nighttime. So it's one of the few rooms that has overhead lighting. So yeah, and I do have a lamp as well as the fairy lights. I also have a nightstand light, which is currently not on, clearly, but I do get the most light in here, and I just didn't feel like putting up the big studio lights just because I'm lazy. Okay, what day is today? It is January 20th. It is Martin Luther King Day. So happy Martin Luther King Day. Do you say happy to that? But I didn't have to work today, which is crazy. My previous company, we did work on Martin Luther King Day, and this is nice. This is nice. It was really nice because it meant I did not have to commute to Columbus. If you're not familiar with Ohio geography, I'm holding a mug with tea and I'm gonna put it between my legs. So you know, well, I don't know if you do know, but in Michigan, people hold up their hand as the mitten and then they'll say where they are. So we'll just pretend Ohio is the shape of my hand. And so dead center is Columbus, and then southwest is Cincinnati. So almost halfway in between, but a little bit more north, is Dayton. So it's about where I live. I don't live in Dayton, like in the city center or what have you. I am a good 20 minutes east of it, which means I'm closer to Columbus. So it takes me about an hour and 10-ish minutes to get to work. It takes about like 55 minutes to get to Cincinnati. So I am still closer to Cincinnati. I was way closer when I lived south. But this is not a geography podcast. This is a knitting podcast. And welcome to it. Hopefully I'll be flashing all of my social medias on the screen somewhere, probably down here, but just in case you don't feel like reading, or you're knitting and you're looking down, or crocheting or cross stitching or whatever you're doing. I am a traveling knitter podcast on Instagram for the podcast. If you want to follow both the podcast and my personal account is LuluisCrazy. My personal account is more pictures of like non-yarn stuff. So Goodreads, if you'd like to follow me on Goodreads or be my friend on Goodreads. I'm pretty sure I'm LuluisCrazy on there as well. And we do have a Ravelry group, so please join the group. I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to, but fingers crossed. I put show notes and I'm a bit more active in there. But yeah, so the group, a traveling knitter podcast group, it's all the same everywhere. And then on Ravelry, I am LuluisCrazy. So let's just jump into it. I'm gonna take a little sip and then I'm gonna figure out where I'm gonna put my tea. It's essentially cold already, so I might as well just drink all of it now. I'm drinking out of my Sagamore Hill mug. I really like it. It just reminds me, I guess it reminds me of that trip. Cool story. Well, the install that I purchased this mug on, that area, that was my very last install ever. which at the time I had a feeling it was, but obviously I didn't know for sure that it would be. But anyway, completed quests. Woo! I am on a hat kick. So I think I mentioned this, that my goal in 2020 was to knit 52 hats to donate. I do not plan to stockpile all of the hats, then donate them at the end. I'm thinking I'm gonna do a donation here in January or February. I want to donate before I move so that, you know, I've been in Dayton for so long, I want to donate to Dayton. So let's go through what I made. Okay, so this is just a weird 2x2 rib hat. Originally it was going to be the bank hat, but then I was like, you know, I just want to keep knitting until I use up this yarn. And then I really did not know how to do the decreases, so I just decreased. So this hat is more for a kid. It still fits on my head. I have to be careful though, because my industrial piercing, it is healing really well, but pressure like this doesn't feel really good. But yeah, so there's this hat. Oh, there's gonna be a lot of hat hair, hat head, hat whatever. So one end is not woven in. I'm gonna have an end weaving in party soon because quite a lot of hats that I want to weave the ends in. And then I just made like a normal hat. Could you call this a vanilla hat? So I really don't know how many I cast on. No idea. Did I do 2x2? No, so it's 1x1, so I just had to make sure it was even, and then evenly decreased on the crown. Number 2, these are both made out of a turquoise, I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. Originally it was going to be a Perry the Penguin for my little brother, but then I never got around to making it, and then I felt like he was probably too old for a Perry the Penguin. So I had to use it for something else. Then I have this guy. This is actually the only one that I followed a pattern for. This is the Barley Hat by Tin Can Knits. So it did an interesting thing where it pulled up here, which is the, it's kind of dark. You can't really, can you see that? That's the garter portion. So it pulled up, which could look nice, I guess. I'm not really sure. But there it is. There is the Barley Hat. So if you see the little yellow up here, I ran out of yarn. I didn't want to make this little yellow crown, but I did run out of this yarn on this hat. So when I don't think I have enough yarn, I tend to cast on the contrasting brim. I'm definitely going to make a couple more Barleys. This is supposed to be the child size, but it's still really big. I am just such a loose knitter. And my tension, I think my tension is great. None of these are blocked. I think this looks really good. And it doesn't look loose to me, but it's loose. So then I did like, I don't know. This is like a sort of broken rib. So it's 2x2, and then you knit a row, and then you do 2x2 ribs, and then you knit a row, 2x2 rib. So that's this. So I think I'm gonna do that again, but with 1x1. And then this one, I'm pretty sure it's called like the waffle pattern or something, but it is the same pattern as this, but it's 2 rows knit, 2 row of 2x2 purl. So there are, this is, I'm pretty sure this was like a Bernat yarn, and then this one might be Red Heart, though. Yeah, this is Red Heart when they got softer. So that is 5 hats for January. And I did knit another hat in January, so that brings my total up to 6, which is more than I needed to knit this month. So I'm pretty pleased with that, and I'm definitely going to weave in the ends soon. I think I'll just pop in a movie and weave in a bunch of ends on the hats. So those are the 5 completed quests. Moving along to works in progress or current quests, we do have a half-finished object. So I decided to put the progress keepers from my advent calendar on all of these projects. So right here is where I was previously. This is from the A Court of Thorns and Roses advent calendar. This sock is the Gladys sock, and it is knit in Knit Picks Hawthorne City Lights Speckle. And I cast on 64 stitches. And then I did use, ooh, that is coming out really dark. It is not that dark. Will you? Yeah, it is. Nope, I don't. Okay, there you can kind of see some of the variation there. But it is like a gray with pops of blue. So the gray might even just be navy, but it is really nice. And I thought it was kind of the inverse of the sock. So the sock is green, or it's got speckles of green and gray. And this was gray with speckles of almost the same chartreusey green, but then it also has blue. I think I talked about this in my previous podcast, that I thought I was going to run out of yarn. So I did grab my scale, and yes, I would not be able to finish this sock, which is really irritating. This pattern must have just eaten up my yarn. So anyway, what I ended up doing is you have like, so up here, you have the 2 purl ridges right here. So there's two of these welts, I guess. You do have 2 of them on the foot, and I just did one in the Knit Picks color and then the other one in my toe or color. So the toe is actually like, the decreases don't start immediately once I switch colors. And I actually think it looks pretty cool with the welt piece being in the color. So I have 1 sock. Oh, and this is by General Hog Buffer. I don't know what their actual name is. Where I did cast on the next sock. So here's how much yarn I have left, which this is how much yarn I had left on the other pair of socks that I made that I didn't have to alternate did not have contrasting heels, toes, cuffs. What? Like, I have to knit a whole nother sock. So I cast it on. Not very far. I think I'm on the 3rd round. And this is on my 9-inch circulars, which are Haya Sharps, and they are in the they're 2.25. I'm wearing a Band-Aid on my thumb because I have been packing. Okay, this is like a weird transition, but trust me, it relates to this. So I've been packing, and I don't know about you, but do you ever get like cardboard cuts? So instead of a paper cut, you get a cardboard cut. So I did, and it split my thumb, and it wasn't bothering me. But then I was knitting, and my Haya Sharp like jabbed into my cut, and it like punctured. So I kid you not, the skin on my thumb is like split open, and I think it's in the perfect spot where I just constantly hit it with my needle, and the Haya Sharps are really sharp. So I literally keep stabbing myself inside of my giant paper cut. And it would like happen every couple minutes. I'm like, ah, because it hurt. So I ended up just putting a Band-Aid so that I have this like barrier to be able to like touch the tip of my needle without constantly stabbing myself inside of my paper cut. So that's what this is. This is actually the second Band-Aid I've had to put on today because of course it's my right hand, which is what I use. It's my dominant hand. So, you know, washing anything with water, Band-Aids come off really easily. I just repotted a plant. So I had to like be really careful not to get a bunch of dirt all over this hand. But okay, yeah, so second sock. This was on my 2019 Make 9. They're gonna be done. January, maybe? Honestly, I'm so surprised January is almost over. Whew, it's going by fast. I think it's going by fast because 2 weeks of January I wasn't home. I was staying with a friend. Okay, so the second quest that I'm on are my Coffee Talk socks, which they have a tale of woe. So here's where we were at last time, right there, and I knit all of this. I need to rip back because this is going to be too long. I've just started the decreases and my heel is actually pushed back. It should be right there. So my decreases, I'm already off of my sock blocker. So I was thinking I could make these for my mom. She wears a size 8.5, 9, but I still think these are gonna end up too big. And really, I wanted these. My mom's colors aren't necessarily purple, but purple is my color, so I really want these. I also messed up, and I'm not ripping that far back to fix it, but so I'll pull it off the sock blocker and put it on my hand. So the stitch pattern here, this is dark yarn. I don't know if you're gonna see this, but the stitch pattern is framed with some garter and then right here, like this stitch right here. You're supposed to slip that, and I did, and then I forgot, and then I did not for like a lot of the foot, and then I realized it, and then I started slipping it again. I can tell why you slip it because where I don't slip it, it looks rather messy, and the slips look really nice. So I'll remember that for next time, for the next sock. But I am gonna need to rip back, honestly, probably to really close to where that stitch marker is. This Coffee Talk sock pattern is by Tracy Miller of the Grocery Girls. I just heard like a weird jingle noise. My bedroom doesn't share walls with anyone. I do have 6 windows. I'm gonna miss this bedroom. It is giant. It is like, it's unnecessarily large. I have a queen size bed. I could fit another queen size bed and still have room on either side. That's how and like there's even a bunch of space here. There's more space over there. This is a giant bedroom. I don't know how big the bedroom is. Now I'm just talking. The yarn I'm using is Luna Bud. I think I have the tags. Ooh, apparently I just have the ribbon. Luna Bud Knits, and this is her Buddy base. Oh, it like tries to focus, or maybe. Yeah, Buddy base, which is 75/25, 430 yards. Colorway is Thanatos. Thanatos. I'm not sure. It sounds mythical. I wanted to say I purchased this in Louisville or Lexington. I know it was in Kentucky. I just don't remember when. And the mini is a Woolberry Fiber Co. mini from the advent calendar that I received for 2019. I'm very excited to be using it, and I just think the purple plus the blue just looks really nice. So it's sad. I really like doing magic loop when I am decreasing on the toes, but otherwise I don't knit in magic loop. Like I don't knit socks in magic loop. I am a 9-inch circ fanatic, if we could call it that. Okay, next thing I put some work in was the Boho Blush by Andrea Mowry. I did not put a lot. Again, I put in the stitch marker. This is the stitch marker from Julie. Why do you just not focus? So it's a little acorn, and it is from the Sweet Sparrow Knits advent calendar from 2020. Wow, from 2019, which makes me, the Woolberry one was from 2018. All sorts of wrong. So yeah, this is the Boho Blush. It is, I think it's gonna be beautiful. This is Crazy Color. Cozy Color Works. And this is a light fingering because there's 550 yards in a 100. It says 3.5 to 4.5 ounces. A whole ounce difference? 100% superwash merino, and it is the colorway Brick. I am on section 3. Whoop. Section 3 is similar to section 1, this guy. So I finished the first little section of brioche, which is this part right up here, which was quite enjoyable. I had only knit brioche one other time, and that was on my Sizzle Pop, which that was a pretty adventurous wrap to be my very first like brioche thing. So this was just single color brioche. I will say, I think doing 2-color brioche is easier for your first time, because you not only can like see the color, but in my mind it just made more sense to see the difference. And I think it also makes it easier to fix. I didn't mess up on this brioche because on the Sizzle Pop shawl, what I typically messed up was I wouldn't increase at the ends. So I'd have to fix that part, and it wasn't hard, but this I think might be a little bit harder because all the strands are the same color. So that's just my thought. I'm at the point again where this would be really great car knitting because it's literally just increases on the sides and then you just knit straight across. This is in this adorable bird bag, which I freaking love. I love this thing so much. This is my favorite favorite bag purchase of 2019. And I watched the Grocery Girls, and in their latest episode, they talked about the Yarn Birds, which is a yarn truck in Columbus, and she sells these. And I was kind of excited because 1, I watched the Grocery Girls, 2, I have that bag, 3, I haven't gone yet, but I am invited to the knit night for Yarn Birds. So it's always exciting when you have like some personal connection to something that a stranger is talking about. I love like books. Don't you just love reading books set in places that you either live or you've been to or you're really familiar with? I loved Fifth Wave, and that series is it's set in Dayton. The movie is too, but hard to tell with the movie. Yeah. The last quest, so the last thing I put a dent in is actually the blanket. Not a ton, but some. And I also put a stitch marker on here, or a progress keeper. So there it is. There's the progress keeper. So I did 1, 2, 3 rows, but with crochet, rows are so much taller. But there it is. So just a little bit more in that blanket. I think next time when I crochet a blanket, I am not going to do any sort of stitch pattern that is like these increases and decreases, because I am constantly looking, and just because crochet things don't line up as well as knitting does. So that I just have a really hard time with crochet because my increases and decreases shift depending on what side of the work I'm on, which I don't like. I don't like that about crochet. I've talked about the yarn before, but I'll hold it up again. This is Chameleon Loops and Threads. It's a big old ball. There's 439 yards in this. It's 200 grams. They call it worsted. I really like it. I'm liking this colorway even more than the colorway I used before. Oh, I probably should have told you the colorway. Gooseberry. And I keep it in this sheepy bag that my best friend got for me. Look at that little blue sheepy. It's cute. I really like this bag. It's like sort of like my blanket bag. Oop, almost put it on my tee. Okay, so Smaug's Trove. I am on a no yarn purchases for the month of January, and I'm going strong. I do have Smaug's Trove though, because I cheated and I bought something in December that would not arrive until January. And I even forgot about it, which is crazy. I almost never forget when I purchase stuff. I'm always aware of where my money's going, even if it's going. This is Wool and Vine Yarns, and it was a pre-order for a mystery skein of yarn in her nouveau base called Winter Solstice in Valaris, which is a Court of Thorns and Roses reference. So it's their singles base, and it is silver purple, which I love. This will most likely be a shawl. It's so pretty. I love singles. I love them so much. So that is Smaug's Trove, and we better not have any more. Though I will say my next podcast will be after my birthday. My birthday is on February 1st. And I don't think anyone's buying me yarn, but there's always that slight chance. So I'm gonna hope that there's nothing being added. So that takes us to a novel idea, which is where I talk about the books that I have read since the last time I podcasted. I have my show notes right here, so I was just looking at them. So I've read 3 books since the 5th, the last episode, and I do have 2 of them here. So the first one is Furyborn by Claire Legrand. This is not my first book of hers. I did read Sawkill Girls last year in October. I believe I finished it in October. Very spooky. I really like this one. So Furyborn is the first in a trilogy, the Imperium trilogy, and the third one is coming out this year. So great time to start this series. The second one I already got from the library on my Kindle, so I'm not sure if I'm going to start that yet. I have so many books I want to get to. I feel so inspired to read. I love reading. But this book is about, how do I want to explain this? So you have two main characters, and they're each in different times, but set in the same place. And there is a prophecy about two queens, the Blood Queen and the Sun Queen, right? I think it's a Sun Queen. Is it Sun, or, because there is a real Sun King, Louis the 14th? Okay, I don't want to mess it up. Queen of Light, which I'm pretty sure was called the Sun Queen. Yeah, Sun Queen. Okay, wow. So there's a prophecy about the Blood Queen and the Sun Queen. The Blood Queen will be the downfall of the nation, civilization, kingdom, and the Sun Queen will be its salvation. Is that how we want to say it? So one of our main characters, Riel, let me back up. It starts with the downfall of the kingdom. Like, that is the opening part to this story. So you know what happens to Riel, the main character, right out of the gate. And I believe these three books are basically taking you to that point. And then our other main character, what was her name? I have the hardest time remembering names. Eliana. So Eliana she's now after the fall of the kingdom, and so you're not following it backwards, but you're at her point, which is many years after the fall of the kingdom and what her world is like. This book was really interesting and fast-paced. There's sex in this. There's also masturbation, which was interesting. This is categorized as YA, but I would put in the new adult category. So YA is just generic for young adult. New adult would be for older teens. So like 18 to 21, I guess. I don't know. But definitely, I have such a hard time with book ratings because I read Mists of Avalon when I was 13 or something. Mists of Avalon is by Marion Zimmer Bradley, and that is wholly and 100% an adult book. And I had no problems with it. I mean, I was confused, and it is where I really learned what sex was. But it didn't turn me into a monster. It didn't make me want to have sex. It didn't make me afraid of it. It was just in a book. I don't know. If I ever have kids, I will never censor what they want to read. If they want to, like, I read Little Women, I think when I was 8. I mean, there's nothing bad in it, but it is kind of a heavy book. Someone dies, spoiler. I read Lord of the Rings in middle school, like I said, that Marion Zimmer Bradley. I've not read another Marion Zimmer Bradley book, I will tell you that, because I did not enjoy that book very much. I probably would enjoy it now, but it was such a slog. I mean, as a 13-year-old trying to get through this book, I did it for the accelerated reader points. I believe it was in the 80s. And the questions are so easy. It was like, what is the name of the dog? Was like what the questions were. Like, oh, no philosophical questions, just simple questions about character. So, wow, we went off on a tangent. I recommend this. I gave it 4 stars. I am moving on to the second one. Can't wait. And I'm pumped for the third one when it comes out, which I don't remember, but I will put it on the bottom just in case you're curious. The next book I read, we'll put it up on this. I'm like dead center, so maybe over here. So the next book that I read was called Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey. Cutesy cover, right? Don't let it mislead you. This is erotic. This is erotica. I call it smut. I think the word's funny, so I like to use that more. I gave it 2 stars. I have the hardest time rating this type of book. I definitely thought it was going to be more like a cutesy romance, like Sophia Kinsella, which I really love the book. Like, I've only read one of her books, but I loved it, and I have never had more of a like a book hangover after that, because I just felt so sad that my life isn't that cute. This book, no, did not make me think, oh, I wish my life was like that. So it's about this baseball player who had an injury, and so he's no longer a baseball player. So he's like, oh, I've lost my life identity. He also has the stupidest nickname. Like, who in the world? His nickname was Two Bats. Just take a second to figure out why. Stupid, like that was his public nickname. I mean, obviously he's not a real character, but like, what the heck? That's so dumb. So yeah, he's you know, he's sad. He's like a drunk now, from being this super awesome baseball star to now he's a loser. And then our other main character is a girl. Georgie was her name. I was trying to remember what her name was. This girl named Georgie, she is a real life clown. Like, that is her job, which she loves, and I did like that aspect because I've never read about someone being a clown, so I thought that was kind of interesting and different. But she is struggling to become an adult, we can say, and not that she can't be, but everyone else around her does not treat her as such, because, you know, it's a small town, you get the small town vibes, and no one recognizes that you are an adult. You know, you're still kid sister or whatever. So she wants to get out of the shadow of being the youngest sibling of her family, and they own like a construction company, and she is not a part of that thing. So they strike a bargain to be a fake couple, which, of course, a fake couple. Lying about your relationship never goes wrong. And yeah, so then they go have a fake relationship, and of course they fall in love at the end of it. Why did I give it 2 stars, you may ask? I gave it 2 stars because, one, I did not like the stupid nickname. He also kept calling her baby girl, which I despise. But so like that was just everywhere. And also he was super possessive and like macho, and I just hated it. I hated it. So that annoyed me. And then also, again, it's smut. I did not appreciate where they decided to get it on. The whole time I was reading, I was like, you're in a dugout. Kids use this. Just because it's summer doesn't mean a kid isn't gonna appear. And then how are you gonna explain it? Plus kids use that. And then the limo, like how rude. The limo driver can hear you. Is he gonna charge you extra because now he has to clean? I don't know, but I just couldn't get past those parts. So I was distracted by things I shouldn't be distracted about when reading, when reading erotic fiction. It's definitely not a genre I read a lot. I'm not opposed to it, but like I definitely thought I was getting into a chick lit book. Because Goodreads does not categorize this. It says, I think it says chick lit, fiction, romance, maybe sports. I know there are more descriptive genres on Goodreads for this, and it should be changed. The last book I read, or finished, is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This is a really interesting book, and it just sucked me in. So you have two sisters who are, their dad is abusive. So anytime one of them breaks a rule, he will punish the other sister in front of them, so to make them not be bad. And punishing, he beats them. He's just not a good person. So our main sister, Scarlett, she had been messaging or writing a letter to the ringmaster of this carnival called Caraval, and just asking him to come to their island, and he doesn't. And so her last letter is, hey, you don't need to come this year because I'm getting married and it'd probably be better if you didn't. So of course he's like, come to Caraval. So then she and her sister head off to this magical place. It's a game, so you have to solve a bunch of puzzles to get to the end. I'm basically gonna leave it at that because that's kind of a big part of it. And there's also a love interest, of course. And this is a trilogy that is complete. So it is, I forget what they are. Caraval, Legendary, and then there's another one. Legendary might actually be the third one. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I am looking forward to reading the second one and the third one. And if this sounds like a cool book for you, this is fantasy. There is a bit of romance. There's adventure, puzzles. It's YA. But if this sounds interesting to you, this is on sale at Barnes & Noble, 50% off for the entire box set. So that's all 3 in hardback for $35, I think, 35 or 40. Yeah, it's even cheaper on Amazon, but really you should be supporting your bookstores. I think Amazon I think has it for like $28. Yeah. So those are the 3 books that I read. And with that, we'll just jump into life because it is getting kind of late for me. I do need to go to bed soon. But what did I want to talk about? Oh. So while I was in Columbus, when I was staying with a friend, I was able to go to a workout class, which felt great. I went to a cycle class. When I was in New York a couple years ago, I was there for 4 weeks and then for 2 weeks, with like a week, with 2 weeks in between, whatever. I was there a total of 6 weeks over a summer, and yeah, I think it was 6. Whatever. I was there for a while, and one of my coworkers and I, we attended cycling classes because they came with the hotel. We don't think they were supposed to, but no one told us we couldn't take the cycling class. So we just showed up. And I really liked it. So one of my friends takes a cycling class every now and then at this studio, and I went, and it was awesome. It was so hard. My butt hurt a lot, and my legs were kind of sore. Honestly, my butt was the most sore out of everything. and it was just great. I can't wait to not have to commute and be able to just have a routine again with my workouts. I worked out today, which felt great. Yeah, but I really like the cycle class. So if you've been thinking about that you want to, it's new year, new me and all that crap. Meh. I like setting goals, and just happens that it's January. I'll be setting more goals in February and in March and April and all the way to December, because that's how I am. But if you want to try some sort of workouts, you're not really sure, don't be afraid of a cycling class. You can go at your own pace. You don't have to do what they're doing. Like the class that I took, holy cow, was this dude intense. Like he was shouting at us. It's so loud in there, which is great because you can't it's almost like you can't even think. You're just going. And sure, there's stats on the screen, but ignore them. If you're nervous, if you don't think you can keep up, who cares? No one is looking at those numbers and then picking out the bike that is that. Just try it. They're typically like 45 minutes long, and they are exhausting, but really good. And it's fun. You want your workouts to be fun. Get someone to go with you. Try it out. In a lot of cycling clubs and areas, you get your first ride for free, so you can just try it out. So if you want to, and you have different, so in Columbus, I know there's Cycle Bar, and then there was this one, 614, Cycle 614. I want to say there's another one too, but they each offer a free ride, so you can get a couple. Board games. So I had a board game night with a friend. I love playing board games. Love it. And when I move, I'm going to have board game nights again. I used to do that when I first moved here, but then all my friends moved away. If anyone is still watching or plays board games, has anyone heard of or played the board game Roots? It was recommended to me, but it is sold out on Amazon. And it has been sold out on Amazon, which is crazy for something to be sold out on Amazon. And the game is $100. That's pretty expensive for a board game. Like, Catan is I think, kind of on the higher end of board games. Of the board games I own. It's like $50-ish. My little brother has much more expensive board games, but even then, I think I bought him Scythe, and Scythe might have been, I think it was like 60 or 70, might have been the most expensive board game that I've purchased. But this one is like $100. But it's enticing me because it's been sold out since I checked, and it has been recommended to me to play, and it's won a bunch of awards, and it's not like it's brand new. I'm pretty sure it came out in 2018. So if you know anything about this board game, if you recommend it, let me know, because I'm slightly on the fence. Honestly, I want to buy it, but I just want to know who likes it. Does anyone like it? Is it a good game? Is it worth it? Also, speaking of games, I put in Viva Pinata on my Xbox. So I have Viva Pinata, and I got it for the 360. I have both Viva Pinatas, and I was like, does it work on my one? It does! I spent 3 hours playing this game, and I had so much fun. I am way better at playing Viva Pinata now than I was when I got it, because when I got it, I really wanted to get all the little homes for all the pinatas, but now I just have like 2 homes, and then I make baby pinatas to just sell. And that's how I make money, to then bring other pinatas in. So I've been farming pinatas. It's been a lot of fun. I remember my cousins used to play it, and we did exchange pinatas over Xbox Live. So kind of brings back nostalgic memories of when we did play Xbox sort of together. And then lastly, kind of in the book talk segment, I went and saw Catherine Arden speak. She is the author of this book. She's the author of this trilogy as well as 2 middle grade thriller books, and she's writing another one. But this is The Bear and the Nightingale, and I'm not finished with it, which I felt really bad that I hadn't finished her book before going to her talk. But I'm really liking this. I'm not going to talk too much about it because this will be on the next podcast. But I love seeing authors. I love going and meeting them. I love getting books signed. So I have 4 books that are signed by her. I have actually quite a few signed books. I love it. If I see signed books at Barnes & Noble, I tend to buy those. Well, I always buy those versus the non-signed ones. Yeah, but the Columbus Library has 4 best-selling authors that are coming to speak, one every 3 months. So I'm signing up and I'm seeing all of them. And I'm going to buy their books and get them signed because I love doing that. Dayton, they've brought some authors, but never. So they did have Maggie Stiefvater, and that was awesome because again, that's a big YA. And then a couple years ago on my birthday, there was going, Kiera Cass was here, and I didn't want to go alone, but also I was slightly hungover, if we want to be dead serious, but I should have just gone. I regret it. I regret going because I really enjoyed her books. Like they're not the best books, it's the selection series. They're not the best books in the world, but they're really fast and entertaining. It's kind of like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, which I've never watched, but I'm pretty sure it's similar to that. It's just junk. Entertaining junk. And then another time I was not here. I was on site somewhere, and it was amazing because it would have been amazing. Cinda Williams-Chima, Megan Wallen-Turner, and somebody else. Ooh, I don't remember, but I know I have their books. Shoot. But there are 3 YA fantasy authors that were all coming to Dayton, so I didn't get to see them, which is sad. But I love author talks. I love books so much, so it's just great to meet the person behind my hours of entertainment. So I highly recommend that. I made an Instagram post today that was like a speech about going to your library and using your library, so I'm gonna make that speech right now too. If you don't have a library card, what are you doing? Like literally, what are you doing? Why? I mean, if there's a reason that maybe you don't have a library or you are not in the United States and libraries are not as big of a thing. I know in Germany you have to pay for your libraries, which I'm like, I mean, I know I pay for it with my taxes, but it's not like a direct payment, if that makes sense, but I have to pay for my library in Germany? Boo. In the United States, many of the libraries have gotten rid of late fees. If I can find them, yarn is stuck to me. There are some interesting articles. I'll post them down below and hopefully in my show notes. But there are some interesting articles on the statistics of removing the fees. I was kind of curious about it because I was like, there's revenue in that, right? Actually, no, not a lot. I didn't know this, but a lot of the articles say there really isn't a lot of the revenue of those late fees makes up such a small portion of the budget. But with removing late fees, they've actually had an astronomical increase in books being returned. Just because you send a late fee out to someone doesn't mean they're going to pay it. So I thought that was really interesting because, well, I've used the library since they put the little like handwritten slip of paper, and it's not handwritten, but the hand stamped piece of paper inside of your books. And I'm not that old, but they were doing that when I was like 7, 8. So I'm a hardcore library fan. And nowadays it gets even better. Not only can you get library books just like this, but you can get library books on your phone, on your Kindle, on your computer by using the Overdrive/Libby app. Personally, I think Overdrive is better than Libby. Libby crashes a lot. It crashes on my phone and it crashes on my iPad. So I don't really like Libby. I like Overdrive much better. But I like the interface of Libby. It's just when I'm using Libby for longer than like 20 minutes, it just like the load time lags and then it just crashes, which is really frustrating. And I have updated the apps like multiple times. I keep it updated and it just consistently does that. But this is not a rant about the apps themselves. It is what they bring to you, which is ebooks and audiobooks and movies. You can actually rent movies through it. Now there's not a ton of them. I feel like a lot of them are like documentaries and stuff, but you can do it. So I think, is it Hoopla? There's also another version that you can use for music. And my library, the Dayton Library, offers free Wall Street Journal subscriptions as well. What are you doing without a library card? It's amazing. The library is amazing. So, and you used to have to go to the library to get the card. A lot of these places now, you can do it all online. So please get a library card and also support your local bookstores, your independent bookstores, because they need it. Amazon makes enough money as it is. And in this knitting community, we already support all of our local dyers, independent dyers. You're paying a little bit more for that specific yarn. Do the same with your books. I know that it kind of stinks to pay full price for a book, which is kind of frustrating because in Germany, for example, the books publishing world, it's like regulated. So you're not going to get discounted books. Books just, you pay this price right here, you pay that. No matter what bookstore you go to. And even online. So so no one is like out there looking for a bargain. Versus here in the United States, you never want to pay this number right here because this is like the highest it will be unless it's like a special edition or something. So I feel like we're just spoiled in that aspect. I don't buy every single book from an independent bookstore. I also do purchase from Amazon, so I'm a bit hypocritical, but I don't purchase every book from Amazon. If there's a significant difference, I'll tend to go to Amazon. Like, for example, there was a book that was $30 and on Amazon it was $11. Like, it's really hard to beat that. But if it's a matter of $5 difference, I will purchase it at Barnes & Noble or at the independent bookstore because I want to keep those alive. I want to still be able to go to bookstores. I love them. They provide author talks and it's just a nice place to go to. Like for example, on Friday, was it? Or yesterday, I got back into Dayton around 6 o'clock and I went to Barnes & Noble and I perused the bookshelves and then I sat down and looked at cookbooks and I was there for an hour and a half and it was lovely. It was great. It's just like the library, except all the new books are available versus the library, they're not always available. I think I'll get off my soapbox now. This will probably give me thumbs down because I'm not telling you to buy all your books. Clearly I just spouted about how amazing the library is, but I'm just saying if you want to support something, if you want to sustain your local economy, maybe not buy everything from Amazon. It's convenient, but Amazon is putting a strain on the publishing industry, and I'm sure it's putting a strain on a lot of other industries as well. I like Amazon. I've got an Amazon Prime subscription. I'm part of the problem as well, but I don't want independent bookstores to go away. For example, I live in a pretty big city, Dayton, Ohio. We don't have one. Don't have one. We have a bunch of used bookstores, but not an independent bookstore that sells new books, which is sad. There used to be one, I heard, but it closed down. There is an independent cookbook store, which I think is really cool, but no bookstores. We do have some Barnes & Nobles though, which I appreciate, and I'm very interested to see what happens to Barnes & Noble after, well, they were bought out by the owners of Waterstones, which is a bookstore over in the UK. And Canada, right? Do they have one or do they only have chapters? I'm not sure, but I'm interested to see what happens with them. I'm a big fan of books. It is my first love. If I had to choose between knitting and reading, it would be reading. Like if I had to permanently choose, it'd be reading. Okay, this has been a lot of blabber, more than I thought there would be, but it is time for me to say goodnight because gotta get up in 7 hours, right? Yeah, 8 hours. I gotta go to work tomorrow, which is sad, but it's already Tuesday. Yeah, I love short weeks. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Please join that Ravelry group if you would like to, and fingers crossed, I'm gonna be home this week. I'll get the show notes in, but otherwise, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next podcast. Bye.